Now, from CBS News Miami, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Welcome to Facing South Florida. I'm Jim DeFede. This week, my new CBS Miami documentary debuted on how people with mental illnesses are treated in the criminal justice system. Warehouse, the life and death of Tristin Murphy, told the story of a mentally ill 37-year-old man sent to prison on a littering charge who killed himself at a prison here in Miami by trying to cut his own head off with a chainsaw. Here is a clip from the documentary that premiered on Wednesday. 2 years ago, at a state prison west of Miami, 37-year-old Tristin Murphy killed himself in a most violent manner.
Not a pretty scene.
No?
No. This is the first time I ever seen this. I chopped his head off.
Was it finally accidental or not?
It wasn't accidental.
Okay.
He meant to do it.
Diagnosed with schizophrenia, as well as a documented history of attempting suicide, Tristin had only been at the state prison for 2 months before his death.
I honestly don't know how he made it through physical stuff.
Adult antisocial behavior, psychotic disorder, and psychotic disorder with delusions.
So wait a minute, this guy's an inmate and he had access to a chainsaw?
The crime that sent him to prison? Driving his pickup truck into a pond next to a county jail.
So he was basically incarcerated because he was mentally ill, and the sentence was basically a death sentence for him.
Since the documentary aired, we have received a lot of reaction, but the most common response, especially from those who understand the system, was this.
Watching this piece is heartbreaking, it's horrifying, it's infuriating. It's just an unspeakable tragedy. And I wish I could say that it was unusual or atypical, but it's not.
That was David Fathi, director of the National Prison Project for the ACLU, and he offers a perspective on just how widespread this problem truly is.
The prisons and jails in this country are stuffed to the rafters with people with serious mental illness. Many of them are there only because of the symptoms of their untreated mental illness. That's why they came to the attention of law enforcement in the first place. And I think this unfortunate gentleman who was in jail and then in prison for littering, for driving his vehicle into a lake, I think it's safe to say that, you know, someone who had been receiving appropriate treatment for his mental illness would not have behaved in that way and therefore would not have ended up in prison. Florida, like almost every state, calls its prison system the Department of Corrections. And so the idea is it's supposed to make people better, not worse. And we all have an interest in people who go into prison coming out better, rather than more damaged, more debilitated, less able to live a law-abiding and peaceful and orderly life. So we all have an interest in people, incarcerated people, being treated humanely and in ways that will make them better neighbors and better citizens, not more damaged and less able to live in society. I think it's important to realize that you know, prisons and jails aren't the only ones responsible here. In the documentary, it was mentioned, I think, a couple of times that this young man, before he went to prison, his family wanted him to get mental health care, to see a psychiatrist, but he didn't have insurance and he didn't have money, and so he couldn't get the treatment he needed. We have a society where people without money, people without insurance, often can't get the treatment they need. And so people with mental illness, some of them decompensate without treatment. They behave in ways that bring them to the attention of law enforcement, and they end up in jail and prison. That's not the jail or the prison's fault. That's a larger societal failing. And I think it's important not to lose sight of that fact, too.
Well, one thing that Florida could do, for instance, is do Medicaid expansion. Florida is still one of the few states that still refuses to do it, leaving more than 1 million people without health insurance, including mental health care. So that's one tangible result, right?
Yeah, I mean, prisons and jails get, again, not to let them off the hook because they have legal responsibilities that they often fail to carry out. But prisons and jails get left holding the bag for a whole range of failures in the larger society, including our failure to make medical and mental health care universally available to everyone, whether or not they have money to pay.
Now, in the weeks ahead, we are going to press lawmakers and state officials on ways to fix this broken system. But today, I want to concentrate on offering at least some hope. During the 2 years I worked on this story, it was clear to me that many families don't know where to turn for help. Here is what Tristin's mother, Cindy Murphy, had to say in the documentary.
If we could have gotten them the mental health treatment, and if he felt like he could have afforded to get mental health care and the counseling and stuff and go to doctors and get it adjusted, that maybe would have been improved. But again, he didn't have any medical insurance. I wanted to talk to psychiatrists so that we could figure out how to handle that. How can we get him to take his medication? And we couldn't get an appointment. Tristin could. He'd have to do that on his own. We couldn't make any headway with that. We really just didn't know what to do.
There is help out there. I recently spoke to Susan Holtzman, the president and CEO of the Miami-Dade chapter of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which offers family support and crisis counseling.
Our mission is to provide education and support for people living with mental health conditions and their families. So the support it takes place we have support groups for families of people who are living with mental health conditions, and for people who are living with mental health conditions, separate support groups. So if you're the person who has a mental health condition, you can talk to people who are living the life that you're living and experiencing the kind of challenges and problems and joys and successes that you're experiencing. And then if you're a family member, we have a separate group to talk to other families. And both of these provide the ability and the opportunity to build networks. So you can talk to people who've had similar experiences, and you can talk to them about resources that might be available. How did they handle certain situations? Who did they talk to? So although we also have a helpline, you can call us and ask any kind of question you want. We really want to provide the opportunity for people to talk to each other and build that support network, because really that's where the best information often comes from.
Why is that important? Having that support group, talking to people with shared experiences. Tell me why that's so critical in all of this.
It is so hugely helpful when you're dealing with situations for numerous reasons. One, and when we talk about the documentary, there's so much focus on families. So they're dealing with a situation that they've never dealt with before. And maybe a lot of people they know would think this is really strange, you know, what your son is going through, the way he's behaving. But when you can talk to other people who don't think that's strange, who've experienced that themselves, then you have this level of comfort that you don't feel alone in the world. You have a level of support that you're not really going to find anywhere else. So it's extremely helpful.
When you watched the documentary and you saw Cindy Murphy, his mother, and Dennis Murphy, his father, and just what they were going through, what was going through your mind?
Well, what was going through my mind was, I hope that they're getting the help and support that they need. I know that there is a NAMI chapter in the county that they live in. I don't know if they had reached out, but I saw the pain. I saw the suffering. I really hope that they had people to talk to. We have another program called Family to Family, which is a 6-week educational program. It's an evidence-based curriculum, and it teaches families how to navigate the mental health system, how to talk to a family member's psychiatrist so you can get the information you need. We recommend resources that help you interact with the person living with a mental health condition. And we have that education program for what we refer to as peers, which is people living with mental health conditions, so that they too can learn about their own condition. They can learn how to advocate for themselves. They can learn how to navigate the mental health care system, which is complex. So we also offer those. So we have the education, and then we have the peer groups, so people can feel empowered, you know, and not so much lost. There's definitely a feeling of being lost the first time anyone experiences anything like this, and we hear that a lot on our helpline calls. I myself experienced it. My sister was mentally ill. She's lived a lot of her adult life on the street due to her mental illness, and trying to navigate the mental health system, emergency rooms, psychiatrists, it's extremely difficult. And I did not have the tools that NAMI offers at the time. And it's one of the reasons I do what I do now, to help other families get through this.
Is there something that you think the state could reasonably be doing different?
There are so many things that I would want to change. What Judge Leifman has done in the court system is a great change. To see that expanded would be wonderful. We do have funding now for mobile response unit. So when someone is having a mental health crisis, you don't have to call the police. You can call a mobile response unit and they will come, as long as it's not an imminently dangerous situation. The police are trained and they're with another first responder, an EMT who has psych training, so that again they can go out and de-escalate rather than arrest, hopefully. So I would love to see more of that. And then I think, and again, this is me, I have to be careful. I'm not speaking for NAMI at this point, but to me, what the former prison director said at the end about there being another avenue, I think that's what's missing. There's not, because the jails are not psychiatric hospitals. They're not. But when someone breaks the law, the only tool we have is to put them in jail. And so, another avenue I think would be a wonderful thing, but administratively, again, because I have experience in government, that's a huge ask.
988. I'm just going to keep repeating that number, 988. If you or a loved one needs help or wants to learn more about what services are available in your community, all you have to do is dial 988. And a reminder, if you missed our documentary, Warehouse, The Life and Death of Tristin Murphy, you can watch it anytime by going to cbsmiami.com.